Hello citizens, Councillor Gian-Carlo here, Ward 9 TV Light. This is a special episode and going to be a long one because it's complex for my neighbors in Ramsay. So this February 21st, Tuesday, after everyone's getting back from the Family Day long weekend, Ramsayites along the MacDonald Avenue alignment in Ramsay received letters in the mailbox, and I received word and the Community Association received word that our Green Line team would like to reopen negotiations regarding the routing of the Green Line through Ramsay, pulling it away from the agreed upon route against the CP rail tracks and onto the MacDonald Avenue alignment, which lines up with 12th Avenue. The response to that from all parties was a resounding, like, what the heck? And I share that, and what I'm going to try and do is sort of explain to you what I've learned in terms of what the heck and what the challenges are and how we face them as we move forward. So that Tuesday night on the 21st, the Green Line team, a bunch of the senior people in transportation infrastructure met with the Community Association board at their board meeting, and I attended that meeting. And we really tried to get a sense of what exactly was going on. And what's clear to me now, what was going on, was that, or what is going on, is that the Green Line team is faced with a budget shortfall in terms of the line they need to build. We've sort of promised citizens that we're going to build the entire line, all 40 kilometers, end to end, in one fell swoop. And we realize now that we don't actually have the budget to do all of that. And we're trying to figure out how to push it as far into the north and as far into the southeast as possible. And I think what they were doing was they had agreed that 12th Avenue was the right alignment and made sense for the Beltline. And they agreed with Inglewood and Ramsay that up against the CP rail tracks to 12th Street was the right alignment. And they were having a really hard time putting those two alignments together. And they started to realize that if they just took it from the 12th Street station and just ran it right through the north end of Ramsay into 12th Avenue, it would be a much smoother, simpler, easier move. Because the Green Line team has had such a good relationship with the community, because our consultations a year ago, which sort of set up this whole project, were so positive, I think they figured, hey, we just have to go back to our friends in Ramsay and have this conversation, because it's something that we really need to look at, and we want to involve the community in that conversation. I think they stepped into a hornet's nest of dissatisfaction and anger, and that's really issue number one that we have to deal with. And there are really four issues that we have to deal with in this conversation that's before us. And the first one is that the Green Line team honestly did an amazing job of consulting with the community. The charrette they ran was excellent. The decision-making process that involved real consultation, real trade-offs, real conversation was excellent. And I think they expected that relationship with the city was still intact. Unfortunately, what I'm hearing from Ramsayites, and which I agree with completely, is over the last year, the relationship with the city has not been through the transportation department, but it's been through the planning department, as the planning department sort of got the handoff from transportation and started to develop the Ramsay area redevelopment plan. And Ramsayites, and especially the leadership in Ramsay, are extremely dissatisfied with how those conversations have gone, with the kind of relationship that we have with the city because of that relationship with the planning department. And it's not acceptable. The city has to speak with one voice, and they have to hold themselves to a very high standard, and that standard's been lost. And so while the Green Line team wandered into that hornet's nest, that's an issue that we have to address. There's been some loss of trust, and we have to address that. I would say that one of the major issues with regard to loss of trust through the ARP process is the growing realization and concern amongst Ramsayites that Ramsay is potentially becoming more of a disconnected island through all of these interventions. We know that 8th Street was a major issue, having to close it, and we don't have a solution for what's going to replace it yet. We do know that we are going to replace it, but we don't know what that is, and that's causing people angst. We also know that if you head south out of Ramsay, you're facing potential massive delays from the CP rail, whether it's along 11th Street or whether it's at the traffic circle at 25th, or whether it's at the 25th Avenue and Earlton connection, which is the worst intersection in the city of Calgary. We know that the getting in and out of Ramsay can be a challenge at sometimes. Losing 8th Street really hurts. And the idea that the Green Line is now going to swallow up the majority of the volume on 12th Avenue is a major concern too. So I think I agree 100% with Ramsayites that this is a problem and it doesn't seem to be getting better and we have to solve it. My commitment has always been that we're not going to pull the trigger on anything unless we improve all of the connectivity in Ramsay. And this is an issue that has to be addressed by the Green Line team. So that's number 2. Number 3 is really the fact that the agreed upon alignment for Inglewood and Ramsay, which is up against the north edge of Ramsay, that CP rail heavy main line, which has always disconnected Inglewood and Ramsay from each other, putting the Green Line there actually makes that a much better edge condition. Not only do you have the buffer of the much lighter rail of the Green Line between the heavy rail and the community, but then you also have a landscape multi-use path linear park system, and you have emerging a redevelopment regime where real estate starts to open up onto that, and it becomes a beautiful edge condition, taking people from the station into the downtown and into and out of Inglewood and back into Ramsay in better ways. And the real concern is that if you actually pull the Green Line off of that edge condition, maybe that edge condition remains the current unsatisfactory situation that it is, and that's totally unacceptable, and I agree with that. The fourth issue that I see that's a real big, it's the biggest issue, is that if you actually ram the Green Line through Ramsay and you lop off the north corner of Ramsay, what happens there? Are you creating a massive urban design fail, a big ugly condition? And I'm a big proponent of the Green Line, as you know, and the thing that people have to realize is that when they think of the LRT system, they think of our current system, and they think of either the LRT sitting in between Crowchild Trail, between the streaming traffic of Crowchild Trail, or even worse, they think of the chain link fence nightmare of 36th Street in the Northeast. And the reality is that the Green Line is never going to be that bad. But that's not good enough. It has to be way, way, way better. And so, I think we owe it to the Transportation Department to have a thoughtful conversation, provided those 4 issues are redressed and redressed well. And from where I'm sitting right now, I don't at all buy that we're going to emerge from this conversation with the route realigned the way they're currently contemplating. I encourage everyone to look back at the process. We, for a while there, thought that maybe we were going to run the Green Line straight down 11th Street. But in consultation with the community, in seeing what the opportunities lost of redevelopment along 11th Street, which we're now planning on emerging as a great main street connecting the Crossroads Market with T-intersectioning into the great main street of 9th Avenue in Inglewood, we've got the opportunity to do some great urban design moves, and it was because of that conversation that the line got rerouted to the CP rail track to S-curve to the southwards towards the Crossroads Market. So, I have a lot of confidence in the Transportation Department. I share everyone's angst at where that relationship with the city went through the planning process. I hear everyone loud and clear. We have to address that situation. We have to address the connectivity of Ramsay and make sure that we emerge with a plan on the books and funded that improves connectivity for all modes for Ramsay. And we have to make sure that the connection between Inglewood and Ramsay and that edge condition becomes a much better condition. And it has to be unequivocally proven that it will be a massive, massive improvement to the life and character of Ramsay if we run it along the MacDonald Avenue alignment. And without those things, I don't see it happening. But we're going to have conversations about it. And the conversation is going to really unfold in 2 ways. Right now, the Transportation Department is fully in, hey, this makes sense for us. Does it make sense for Ramsay? And if it doesn't make sense for Ramsay, it doesn't make sense, period. But it makes enough sense that we have to take a look at it. So what they're looking to do is they're looking to hear from you. They're going to have a shop front open, like storefront sort of open desk where you can come in and you can ask questions or you can give your opinion on March 1st and March 2nd at the Ramsay Design Center at the Commons. It's a drop-in, or you can through my office or through the Green Line team, book some time and have a one-on-one, and you can just do a brain dump on what your issues are, what you see the opportunities are, what your perspective is, and they will be honestly taking that into consideration. That's March 1st and 2nd from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Commons in the Ramsay Design Center. And then on March 2nd, we're going to have a bit of a town hall meeting. It's called a public info session. I've made it extremely clear that if we have another public info session that's just about walking into a giant space and wandering around looking at boards, we're going to have a riot on our hands, and I'm going to be leading that riot. And so what we're going to do on March 2nd at 6 p.m. is we're going to have an actual town hall meeting where we're going to present, or the Transportation Department's going to present what they're thinking. They're going to present what they've heard from the city, from the community so far, and then we're going to have a very thoughtful, grown-up conversation, all of us together in that room, much like the conversation we had with the board this past Tuesday night. And so that's March 2nd at 6 p.m. It's in the Hemingway Room at the Commons in Calgary, and it's going to be a town hall public info session. And it's really important that we come out and we be heard, but also that we're thoughtful and that we, because in part it's on this is our opportunity to correct some of the ways that the ARP process has gone off the rails. So let's keep an open mind, let's be firm, and if you have points that you feel are extremely important beyond those 4 that I have to add to my advocacy, let me know. So Councillor Gian-Carlo signing off, and I will see you on the 2nd.